Hey guys, welcome back to our
Hi.
Real Love Scenario. Shout out to all our real lovers out there. We
Hi,
are
everybody.
back.
Welcome back.
We are back. I'm happy to be back.
Welcome.
Happy to be recording. This is our happy place.
Yes.
I'm happy that the DMV decided that it was going to stay on summer.
Officially be summer? We are here.
We're here.
We have arrived.
Brie and I were walking down the street the other day and we were like, yo, it's hot. Like,
Yeah.
And I'm glad it's staying there because before it was like, I don't know what I want to do.
But it's June.
It is June.
So that's usually when it's like you silent and you locked in.
Yes. Pools are open now.
Yep.
Memorial Day has passed.
Yep.
All the cookouts. Summer is such a, like, I feel like in places like Texas or like California that they take summer for granted a little bit because they
have it
great
most of the
weather
year or all year
around.
Yeah.
But for us, it's like this is the moments to
It's
where
like it's like Christmas. It's like Christmas but warm.
It's a season like, yo, we only got a few months
Yeah.
for it to be like this, so we take advantage. That's why it's hard to do things with people and plans for the summer because everybody has their weekends like, I'm doing this weekend.
Yeah.
And this is summer's graduation season.
Yep. Vacation
season.
Oh God, it's so much. It's so much.
But I'm glad to be in summer. It's gonna be a good summer.
Me too. It is. It definitely is. We already got some plans, personal and otherwise. Yes. So it's gonna be good. I just feel like the good weather makes you want to do things.
For sure.
Like it makes you want to go outside. It makes you want to
work out.
Makes you want not so much, right? Because I feel like that's what everybody says, right? You use the winter to get ready for the summer because this is probably the time where you're not gonna work out as much. But yeah, I mean, I just think it just makes you want to do stuff. Yes.
I completely agree. How are you doing, Rhonda?
I'm great.
Level check. Things going well?
Yeah, things are good. Busy. I feel like that's always my answer, but in a good way. This week was short, so that felt good. But baby, when I say they be getting their money's worth, they get their money's worth no matter how many days I'm actually in the office. But otherwise, it's been good. How about you?
Things have been going well. Had a great week. It was really good. Brie and I were in the process of doing some home shopping, but the way that things are looking, the interest rates, and then we like where we're at. That's where you have to balance. Like you have this vision of life or what people tell you should do or how you should or what age you should obtain certain things and what this means. But you also have to just cater your life to the things that you want.
Absolutely.
And we like our lifestyle. We like where we live. We like being able to have a grocery store underneath us. We like the diversity of the area that we're in. We like to be able to walk and go to different restaurants and different things right in our little nook of where we are without having to drive. And it's like, there's nothing pushing us. There is no kid. There is no life circumstance that's pushing us out to a different place or to a home. So let's just continue to live this life.
Yeah, for sure. And I just think those types of decisions are so significant that you should not rush them.
Yeah, and
like
do it lightly.
Yes, because I'm sure like this is going to be your first home, like true home, marital home together, and likely where you will become parents. And so that becomes a big part of that decision. Like you can't just buy a house for just the two of you because if it's not big enough or it's not in the right area, what happens when you become parents? Now, do you sell the house? Do you keep it as an investment? It's just so much to consider. So I feel like it's such a personal decision and you should not do it until you're ready. I am, much older than both of you. And I have not purchased a home. And a big part of that is what you just talked about, the conveniences, the biggest one being if something goes wrong, I can just call the people and be like, hey, the air stopped working. I don't have to worry about cutting grass. I don't have to worry about any of these things. But it's also because I would prefer, to purchase a home with a partner. I really would prefer to have this financial stability of that.
For sure.
But also so that if I do find a partner, I don't got to worry about selling the house that I bought on my own. So it's so personal.
It is. And I like what a financial guy said. He said that your mortgage is the minimum that you will pay. Your rent is the maximum that you will pay.
So true.
And I was like, that's so true.
It's absolutely
if
true.
If you're paying $3,200 for rent, if there are any issues in the apartment or anything, the building pays for that and they repair it. But if you're in a home and your mortgage is 32, if there's a leak or the AC go out, like
it's on you, boss.
That's on you to figure that thing
it's
out,
on
buddy.
You, boss.
Like I've been in places. I remember times with my mom where the hot water, like whatever, wasn't working, and we had to like boil water and take baths, like until somebody could come out and fix it or do it. So home ownership is no joke. And then also knowing your partner, because I told Bree, I was like, listen, we got about 2-3 years till we want to have kids. And I feel like we should just enjoy this time. The extra money should go to saving and vacation and stuff like that. But I know my wife, if we get in that house, every extra dollar is going to be gone to new furniture, new repairs. And it's just like, we're going to look 2 years and be like, dang, we put all the money to the house. Now we ready to have kids and we feel like we didn't do all the things we wanted to do.
For sure, man. The last thing I'll say on that with the furniture thing, because I love Bree, how much she loves home decor.
Yes.
And you love the stuff that you have in your apartment. And a lot of times you don't realize it, because I've rented a home before. You don't realize that it might look right in your apartment. It could very well look super different in a house and very small. And you might think you could keep that table or think you can keep that couch. And then it looks strange in a home. And now you're like,
hey, baby.
Damn, that couch was $3,000. And we just got to
give it either
just sell it or just let it go. It's a lot. So take this time, build, enjoy your marriage.
Same. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. So that's what we decided on. So I'm happy about that.
Good.
But I want to start with reading a review, as we always do. Shout out to our real lovers out there. This was something that somebody sent me via DM, and it is Pride Month. So I thought it was just great to share this. I don't want to say the name just because it was a DM, and I just want to be respectful of people and the things they send, but I just want to share the review. They said, what up, Dre? Man, first of all, I love your podcast, Real Love Scenario. Thank you so much. Yes. You and Rhonda are a phenomenal duo that keeps me entertained as well as inspired each week. I'm writing to let you know that your recent podcast, episode 55, What Should I Do About a Mutual Friend Having a Crush on My Boyfriend, was truly inspiring. As a black gay man, I can't describe how represented I felt from you and Rhonda sharing this episode. As you know, the black LGBTQ plus community is often overlooked and our stories are seldomly told. It really meant a lot to me that you and Rhonda shared the young man's story and gave great practical feedback. Also, your representation of manhood truly motivates me to be a better man. It is my hope that one day I can meet you and Rhonda in person and express my gratitude for how you have impacted my life. But until then, I wish you both continued success and blessings.
Wow. That one just, and you sent it to me at night, right? So I didn't see it until the morning. So to like wake up basically to that, I was like tugged on my heartstrings. That was so sweet. Thoughtful. We so appreciate you for sending that message. It obviously, I think, means a little bit more as people who are not members of the LGBTQ plus community. But as people who care about love and relationships, love is love. And yes, there are nuances in those relationships that we don't fully understand.
For sure.
But at a base level, if you are seeking commitment, no matter who you decide to love, I think our advice works, so I've gotten similar messages, not as detailed, but I love that whether our story is about a heterosexual couple or a homosexual couple or any dynamic that is not what you and I are, that you can take something from it. The advice for the most part is solid. Again, no matter if you're a woman who loves a woman, a man who loves a man, or a man who loves a woman, it doesn't matter. You need good advice for managing healthy relationships.
No, I completely agree. And that's what my concept and idea was around just relationship restored in general, that as we grow, we'll venture into other types of relationships. But at the foundation of most relationships, what you need is a lot of the same things.
Absolutely.
You need to communicate clearly, whether it's a friend, your mom, a business partner, or somebody you're intimate with. So practical advice, and I'm glad that we were able to help this real lover out. And you will definitely be able to meet us. We're going to have some meetups and we're going to do some things. We were just talking about a live show right before this.
Yes.
So there'll be opportunities, and just stay tuned, follow the Relationship Restored page, and we'll have all the information to meet us. But thank you for that, because that, you don't know how much giving people their flowers while they're here is important and keeps them going. And with that said, before we go to the next point, I do want to send just prayers and condolences to DC Young Fly family and Jackie, his wife, her family as well, because that such a tragic thing.
Yeah.
Rhonda, you and I have both experienced death in many different situations.
Yeah.
And it's tough enough when you have a situation like with my dad when he was in the hospital for 3 months and you know that it's coming and you kind of mentally prepare and emotionally prepare for what could happen. But to lose somebody tragically like that is just a whole nother level. And I know personally with myself, even when I think about the thought of losing my wife, it makes me tear up, like the idea of it. So I can't imagine getting that news or getting that call and that being a thing, especially with children, and it's heartbreaking to hear. So just prayers and condolences to his family.
Heartbreaking. Absolutely. I echo your sentiments. It choked me up so much when I first saw it. And, I don't know or follow, I obviously know who DC Young Fly is.
Yes.
Very, very funny, successful comedian and actor and podcaster. He's just in the content space in general. And I knew that he was in a relationship for many years. I knew that they had children. So when I just saw that, I was just like, whoa. And with her being so young, it just was such a moment for pause. Because like you said, it when someone's 80, 90, to some degree, you're like, okay, but when you're 32 and you're a young mother, I think their youngest child is like not even 1 year old yet, or just turned one. That baby will not even remember his mother, remember what time he had with his mom. So sincere thoughts and condolences and prayers. I went on a little rant on my IG about people who are being so insensitive around how she passed, and we won't discuss it on this podcast because it's irrelevant. At the end of the day, irrelevant. She's somebody's mom, somebody's daughter, somebody's friend. Like, she has a beautiful friend circle.
Yep, she does.
And it's just like, man, it sucks for him to now have to figure out how to fully re-navigate his life without his partner. And they had 3 babies together. It's like, I can't imagine it. I cannot imagine it. Praying so much for him and the whole family and all the friends.
Definitely so much. So I want to go into our real life love scenario.
Yeah.
So today, guys, for our real life love scenario, we always reference this popular blog, Neighborhood Talk, because they put out a lot of different information.
Yes.
But I want to talk about one of the posts that I saw maybe a week ago or this past week. I don't know. It's basically a woman got her car towed.
Yes.
And instead of being like how some people or most people, dang, I shouldn't have parked there, or I knew they was coming because I wasn't paying my car note. She decided to call her husband. And her husband said, I'm going to one-up you and I'm going to tow the tow truck.
Right. What are the chances that her husband is a tow truck driver or owner? That's crazy.
Crazy, right? So my question is, what's that Calvin Harris song? How deep is your love? Is it like the ocean? What devotion are you?
Okay.
Rhonda, question for you. How deep in the shenanigans do you get with your partner, your husband, wife, boyfriend, whatever, without any questions asked? You just ride for, like, how deep does that go?
I gotta ride with you. Like now be clear, right? I have to understand at a base level what's happening. I can't fully come into it like blind, but you are my person. Like, especially if you my husband. Like, where are you? Like, if you call me frantic, like, babe, I need you to come, I just need the address. You know what I mean? Like, but when I get there, I need to have at least, hopefully you got like 30, 40 seconds to like catch me up. Give me the high level information, but I have to be there. Of course, I think we talked about this on a few podcasts ago about like, how you support your person, but if they're wrong, you check them in the background. But you are a united front. And I also would never want to put my man in a situation that we could like lose our lives or our livelihood. Like, yes. I don't want to have to come in a situation where we could die. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm not going to let you go at that alone, even if it's that, because you're my person. But if we got kids, it's just so many different things that change this. But at the base level, I'm saying, my man, what's up? Like, come on, we got to deal with it. We got to do it.
What Wayne say? I'm going to die for my... niggas.
Yeah,
Most
like,
likely I'm gonna die with my finger on the trigger.
for sure. Like you my man. Like we are partners.
That's what. Hey, what's that show?
Jay-Z, Beyonce, we on the run. Like we together. So
what's that show on TV? One for my man. That's gonna be you, huh?
I don't know. Nah, not that show, right? That show is different. You know, I'm not going on no stupid stuff like that. Like you get into a beef and you decide I gotta kill somebody, and you like, and I need you to help me. No love. We not doing that. But if you like that type of situation, the tow truck situation, yes, like I'm pulling up. I'm pulling up. Either way, we'll figure it out. And I actually did this in a relationship before. It was I got into a kind of dispute with a guy who was being racist towards me and my mom. And I was dating someone seriously at the time. And the guy was getting really disrespectful, really hostile. The police eventually got involved. But I called my man and I was like, I'm here. I need you to come, because this is a man. He had a man with him, and it's me and my mom, two women. Like, I don't even feel all that comfortable addressing him. I called my brother and I called my man, but I didn't do it like come beat him up or come hurt him or come harm him.
I just want to make sure I'm protected.
I just want to feel protected. Yeah. Absolutely. So that's what it was. And it's funny, there was a story that's not funny that was out. That's I think it's a trial happening right now where the woman claimed that her man hit her. But he didn't, and she like sent a text message to her brothers or her guy friends or whatever, like come and shoot his shit up.
Yeah,
and they really did that, and one of them died, and now she's, like he's on trial for killing the guy, like he's about to lose his life or his freedom for defending himself off of a lie that she told him. So this can get super dicey. Yeah, it can.
That's what some people were saying in the comments, is that you're putting everybody in a dangerous situation for probably something that you did wrong.
You did wrong, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, would I do it? Oh, questions. Yes, I mean, probably to a certain extent. I'm a very pragmatic, practical, logical person.
Yeah.
I do try to measure all consequences and all actions and everything. And I do like tell my wife sometimes, like, you was wrong. Like you was in the wrong or whatever. Or is what we're gonna do gonna be worth it?
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. If you're in the midst of something,
right,
and you just need backup to get out of it, right or wrong, I gotta have your back.
I have to. Yeah.
I gotta have your back. We could talk about everything else later, but if you're in the midst of something, let's say you going back and forth, and I come out the store, you were there before me, and I see you arguing with a tow truck. I don't care who was in the wrong, because I also feel like that's two different things, especially when you got a man arguing with my wife. That's different than what the situation is. If you argue I don't know who you're talking to.
You're a man, she's a woman. Like, we not doing that.
We not doing this. We could talk about the toe. We can figure that out. I can give you some cat. We can figure out that. But don't come crazy. Don't come talking crazy or nothing like that, because then we talking about a completely different problem.
Exactly.
But yeah, I guess
it's a case by case.
It's a case by case. But I just wonder, so Rhonda, your man out late at night, you have fun with friends, 2:00 in the morning, tells you, yo, I hit somebody. I don't know if they're alive. Like, what should I do? Like, are you moving the body? That's what I'm
not doing that.
You're not doing nothing that
Absolutely
extreme.
not. I'm coming to where you are.
Got you.
We're calling 911. I'm going to tell you before I even get there, you need to call the police.
Gotcha.
I am a ethical person.
There we go.
That's it. So that comes down to ethics. I know you didn't mean to do it, but you also were irresponsible by drinking and driving. So if that means you have to face the consequences of that, you got to go to prison for that, then so be it. That it just is what it is. You made a bad decision, but am I going to come there and be with you because you're probably losing your mind right now? You just went through something very traumatic, 100%. But I'm not going to help you hide it. That's because I wouldn't
think that's the type of devotion that.
That's why I said not that show for my man, because I only seen about 2 episodes of that show, and I am nothing like them ladies, y'all. No sir. In fact, in some of them situations, baby, I want a divorce. I want out. I don't even want anything to do with this no more. Like, you are now showing me you a whole different human being. I'm good on you. Yeah. Yeah, no. No,
that makes sense. And I want everybody to hear that underlying message. Maintain your ethics.
Yes.
Maintain your values. what you're really doing is coming to the defense of your partner to get them out of a situation that could be confrontational or dangerous.
Yes.
You're not adding danger or confrontation most of the time to the circumstance.
That's right.
So was she right or wrong for calling her husband?
I think she was wrong for calling her husband because she really deserved to be towed. She was in a situation where I believe she was like illegally parked
or something like
that. Like having your husband come and get you out of that in the way he specifically got you out of it. And I don't think I've seen the full video, so I don't know if the tow truck guy was like being disrespectful to her. Again, like you said, that's a separate issue. But if you deserve to be towed, the only thing you should be calling your husband to say is, babe, I got towed. I'm gonna need you to take me to the place, or I need the money, or whatever the reason is that you need to get him involved. And that's it. You deserve to be towed, though, if you didn't park properly. So you should learn your lesson. But no. The fact that he towing the tow truck, what's his reasoning for towing the tow truck? Now we got a whole nother problem because is he doing an illegal tow? Because that's against the law. That's actually, there's laws about that.
Because honestly, the tow truck man was just doing his job.
Right.
He ain't doing nothing wrong, doing nothing legal. So, and that be killing me too. You was in the wrong and you mad because you got, caught up with doing the wrong thing and I'm doing my job and you mad at me. So
yes, and there's ways to deal with that with kindness.
Yes.
Like if you know that you're wrong, I've been in the wrong with a tow. And I'm coming down pleading my case, not with an attitude like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, can I just give you like, what would you take to just drop it?
I've had that happen before plenty of times. You take it to the yard, you're going to pay this much. And you just give me some cash
right now.
I'll drop it. I drop it.
You got to be nice. You can't come down hot on that.
Especially once it's hooked up already. Once it's hooked up, you done. Like
you wrong. I love I was only there for 5 minutes. It say no stopping. It don't say no
is
stopping.
That curb yellow?
Yeah. What does it say on the sign, baby? It don't matter if you was here for 1 minute. You're wrong. So nah. She was wrong.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments if you are truly ride or die.
Yes.
We know people use that terms, but are you willing to die?
It's I got cliff notes for my ride or dies.
Okay,
yes.
Got you.
Yeah.
Stipulations,
for sure.
Amendments.
Yes.
Okay, you ready to get to our real love scenario?
Absolutely. You know how much I love when guys write in?
Yes.
So this is from a guy. His name is Alan.
Shout out, Alan.
Hey, Alan. He says, I'm engaged to a wonderful woman.
Congratulations.
During the first 6 months of our relationship, she told me she had a threesome previously. I've never asked her about her past because I wasn't prepared to deal with it. I also told her she didn't have to tell me because her past is none of my business. Lately, our sex life has become more predictable and mundane, so to spice things up, I asked about us doing a threesome. She said no. I even asked if I could just watch her with another woman, and that was also a no. She says that threesomes were in her past and she isn't in that mindset anymore. And while I understand, I'm not really feeling it, mainly because she asked me to fulfill her fantasy, and I did. Her fantasy was BDSM, and that wasn't really my thing, but I still did it and I actually enjoyed it. So my issue is, I granted her fantasy, why can't I get the same in return? Should I let the idea go or try to persuade her to change her mind? To be honest, I would have never asked for a threesome if she hadn't told me that she's done it at least twice before. Lastly, I have an issue with the fact that she had no problem fulfilling the threesome fantasy of a sex buddy or a couple that she met on Facebook, but the person who is going to marry you gets nothing. Please advise on how to handle this. Thank you so much, Alan, for writing in.
Rhonda, where you want to start with this?
Woo. Well, I think we need to potentially get into some definitions.
Okay.
Because it just sounds like this is ultimately coming down to sexual fantasies.
Yes.
And how you handle those within your relationship. And there might be some listeners out there who don't know what BDSM is.
Yes.
And it's a very broad
categorization.
Absolutely. So BDSM really covers a lot of things.
Yes.
But I think most people, when they use the phrase, they're using it based on the acronym. So it is an acronym and it stands for bondage, dominance, sadomasochism. And it's got a lot of layers to it.
Yes. I have never participated.
Yeah.
However, it does come
Can't
up
say
on a
the
lot
same.
of, okay, wow. It does, let's get real.
Let's get real on real level scenario.
I do see it on a lot of like shows, like they portray it. And one show in particular, I watched a show called Billions, which is like a really good show. It's on Showtime. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. But one of the characters, he is like, him and his wife are heavily like involved in that. So you kind of got to see like what that world is like, how that works, and how many rules are associated with it. Just to, although you are pushing yourself to a certain extent, it is still a mindfulness of safety and making sure that everybody is getting what they're supposed to get out of it. But I personally have not reached that level of that yet.
And let me just say, my experiences with it are extremely light.
Okay.
Extremely light.
Got you.
Like, have I done something where we needed to use a safe word? Yes.
Okay.
But it was like at the lightest levels.
Got
like
you.
I've never been fully bondage, like gagged to the point where I couldn't take myself out of it.
Got you.
Like, no, like I've not met a partner that I feel comfortable fully exploring that. And some parts of it, I just actually have no interest in it. Some of it is a little too much for me. Another really popular show, it was a movie and a book. You know, the movie was inspired by the book, which is 50 Shades of Grey. It explores that a lot. So that dynamic, the things that they did in that film would fall under BDSM. And so I think it's interesting that he was open to it when his fiance presented it, and they explored it. And although it wasn't his idea, potentially not even something he thought of, I thought it was cool that because it was her fantasy and something she wanted to try, that he was open to it, and then learned that he actually enjoyed it just by trying it. And I think that's kind of the overall tone of these types of things when you think about introducing anything new into your life, whether it's sexual stuff or not, that sometimes your partner is just even willing to consider it. It gets tricky when it then gets to how does consideration get to actually doing it? Have you ever had, and I know this is like a super personal question, so if you don't want to answer it, that's fine.
Okay.
But have you in your marriage, entertained or introduced, or vice versa, as Bree introduced something where you were like, I don't know if I'm really into that, but we could try it. Have you gotten to that point at all yet?
No. We haven't gotten to that point. As everybody knows, we waited for marriage. We weren't virgins when we met, but we waited for marriage. So, I mean, we're still only, 2-3 years in. So we're still nothing of like anything crazy that
nothing
tried to
no
be
kinks.
Introduced. No kinky things or anything like that.
Okay. Would you be open to certain kinks?
Well, I mean, originally, I guess this is not a kink though. It's just something I had never used before. And it was just like, oh, okay. And I hope this isn't too personal, but I'm just gonna say it. Okay. No, it's just originally when my wife and I first started, having sex again once we got married, it was almost like for her going back to virginity because you did not have
and it's
sex.
a muscle.
Yeah, it's a muscle. So it like hurt really bad. And she she had introduced the thought of like using like lube to kind of help in that, make it more, easier and pleasurable in the experience. And I had never used lube before ever.
Got it.
And it was just kind of weird that it's like, oh, okay, I've never
experienced, don't know the feeling. This is a whole nother thing.
And still for me, it's like, whatever. But because she said that's what she felt like she needed to make herself comfortable, then I was open to the idea of doing that. So
yeah,
it's probably
that's pretty light.
Yeah, it's pretty light.
Extremely light.
Yeah, very, very light.
Yes. And also just kind of like a necessity for the dynamic, right? Like I think back to losing my virginity, while it might not have been actual lube that we bought, additional things were necessary because you're breaking a muscle, you're breaking a hymen. It can be painful if you don't use extra stuff. So I totally get that. I have been in relationships where certain things or kinks, all of this stuff falls kind of under kinks, have been introduced. And I'll be honest, some of them I was like, nah, I can't do that. But others I have been open to and learned that I actually enjoyed them. One of them that I'm really comfortable with talking about is, it's an official term for it, but it's like asphyxiation.
Got you.
So obviously asphyxiation is basically when you choke someone until they die. But in the kink space, it is choking until it gets to a certain point. So that is the BDSM kink that I've done where a safe word is needed or a safe tap, something where the person knows like, all right, we're at the point, right? Because one, I was so surprised at how different I felt when this pressure was being applied to my throat. It's a fine line between it feeling good and you dying. And unfortunately, some people have in fact died from that, right? So it's tricky and it can be scary. But I will say, done right, it was like in the top 10 of orgasms I ever had in my life, for sure. It made the top 10 list. And I don't know, all the science around why that is, but it is a very interesting feeling when you're right there and you're like, you can't breathe. And then once the breath is like, the pressure comes off and you can breathe, combined with the orgasm, it's like, whoo, like I feel like I'm about to explode. Like it was crazy good. So I am open to certain things sexually, in consideration and conversation, and then safely in exploration. But I feel like it's just certain stuff. Like some of the dominance things are not okay for me. Like the whipping, is just, I can't. Like I think as a Black person, I struggle with that. As a person who has been in a somewhat physically abusive relationship, nothing about extreme versions of that are sexy to me. That just feels wrong. So I just am curious, like we won't know, but I'm interested to understand which parts they explored in the BDSM, but it sounds like they had a great time. So I think I understand where he's coming from, that it's like,
I mean, I get the thought process that he has.
Yes.
But I think that the situations are a lot different.
They are. I agree.
And it's a lot of things you have to consider. Number one, I always say when you're in a relationship, your yeses have to mean yes. And you can't say yes just because your partner feels like they're forcing you into something. Say yes because you actually want to say yes. Whatever gets you to that point to where you feel comfortable with saying yes, you say yes. So I say that to say is that when you say yes to something, it's not like a favor for your partner to then so they could say yes to you for something else. Yeah. Because it's like if you said yes to the BDSM, then that's because you wanted to say yes to it. Yeah. If she says no to threesomes, it's not like, oh, you said yes to this, so you got to say yes. I said yes to this, so you got to say yes to me now on this thing. It's like, no, I asked you if you would be open to exploring it. You said yes. We explored it. You ended up liking it. Okay. You're asking me if I'm open to do this. I'm saying no. Like, that's just what it is. Like, I don't feel comfortable doing it. And the difference is with this is that she's actually explored it before and has tried it. So now she knows what she does like and what she doesn't like about it. Versus this experience with the BDSM was something that he had never explored before. Yes.
Which is likely why he was more open to it. Because he hadn't explored it, and maybe through conversation or research, he did see parts of it that were like, that could be cool. So I agree with you, and I'm glad you clarified that. I understand his thought process. Yeah. But I do think the explorations are extremely different because one of them includes other people. Just off the rip, a threesome means that you have to bring another person into the dynamic. And bringing other people in the bedroom, I'm not saying it's not fun. I'm not saying it's not cool for those that do it. Great. But I do really understand her hesitation in doing it in a committed dynamic. And it because it sounds like previously when she did it,
it was just kind of open, like whatever.
It was casual. Yeah. It was like, I'm okay with doing this with semi-strangers or people that I don't see spending the rest of my life with, because monogamy comes with this idea that it's just you and I. It's just you and I living our lives together. It's just you and I living in this house together. It's just you and I having sex together. But I also think with what little bit of research I did around just like kinks and sexual exploration, there are so many other things that don't involve other people. So many other sexual explorations that don't involve you getting other partners.
Yeah, I agree with that. When I'm looking at this situation, sometimes sexual fantasies are about sex and pleasure. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of things that people want sexually that have nothing to do with actual sex or the pleasure from sex. Mm-hmm. Like we always talk about when people get dopamine hits and what that does to the brain. It's like you experience a certain level of pleasure or certain spikes. It's like people may have sex for the same reason that they do drugs or jump out of a plane. It's just to get a certain level of feeling. It's not actually the act of doing so. Or some people like to feel dominance, or some people maybe are having a bad day, so they're doing this to take their mind off of something. It's not actually about sex. And then in this situation, I feel like the threesome thing came from him knowing that she did it before with somebody else.
That part.
So is it really about the sex, or is it about you feeling that maybe a piece of her was with somebody else, like she did something with somebody else that she never did with you, and how dare you, or how could you say no to me and I'm about to be your husband, but you were doing this with somebody who you didn't care about.
Yeah.
And what do they say is the thief of all joy?
Comparison.
It's comparing situations. Talking about the house thing that Brie and I was talking about. We were looking at houses. The interest rates are at 6%. We're looking at the housing prices plus the interest rate. It's too high. It's too high. We don't want to pay that much. And Dave Ramsey said something that was really good around that. Mm-hmm. He said the only reason that 6% is high is because you have 3% to compare it to. If there was ever no 3%, you wouldn't even think that that's just the normal.
Yeah.
And I think in that situation, this is one of the biggest things, is that he's looking at the past situation. Mm-hmm. Had she not have said that she had a threesome at all, then he might be like, all right, I'm not going to even ask. He may still want it, but not even feel comfortable with asking, because he's like, she would never do that. Yeah. But now he knows that she has done it. Mm-hmm. Then he feels like, I have a double thing. I'm justified, number one, because you wanted a fantasy and I tried it. And then I'm justified, number two, because I'm not asking you to do something you've never done before. You have been open to it in the past. Mm-hmm. You were okay with it in the past. Mm-hmm. So I feel like as your husband, you should bite this bullet and explore what I want to explore. Mm-hmm. And like we said, the difference is she's already done it.
Yeah.
But exactly. I feel like it may not just be about, I want a threesome sexually. It's more like, do this for me. I want a piece of this. I want to feel like I got something that your other people had got.
You hit the nail on the head, and it's not even like you feel. He's saying this.
Yeah.
You are literally saying, I only asked her because I knew she did it before. And your other issue is that you did this with someone that was just a sex buddy, but you won't do it with me, a person that's going to marry you. My God, like, what do you like sexually? Let's just start there. Let's start there. Setting your wife aside, setting aside other people.
Yeah.
What would make you feel very sexually pleased? You need to understand what that is for yourself. And if in fact it is a threesome, you now obviously know your fiance, that she's not open to that. Again, there's so many other things to explore, other potential things outside of what you normally do. But going back to the very beginning of his scenario, he says our sex life lately has become predictable and mundane. Okay, like that to me says that at some point it was not that, right? At some point it was not predictable and it was not mundane. So you were having sex that you liked and you enjoyed very much with your fiance. There are two things that I want to explore on that topic. Number one, being in a long-term relationship, this is a result of that. Like, To think that anything is always going to be at 100 for the entire duration of your relationship is crazy, okay? Like, there are going to be times when your sex is going to be hitting an amazing stride and it's so good and it's fireworks every time. And it's going to be other times where it is not like that, where it's still good and you're still doing it, but it's just not moons and stars and peaches and cream every single time. That's not necessarily a bad thing unless it is exceptionally consistent. Like it's happening way too much where you're not having an ebb and flow. It's continually at a low level. But the first thing that you should do when that's happening is talk to your partner about why that's happening, not suggest that you get somebody else in the space to fix that.
Yeah.
That's not a good recipe for a long-term situation, because a threesome, or really any new idea that involves somebody else, again, even voyeurism, that involves somebody else, porn, that involves other people, even though you're just watching it, it involves other people. Once you start using that as a means to almost medicate the problem, you'll then have to always do that. It's just like if you get a surgery and you get pain pills, right? It's to deal with the pain that should eventually go away.
Yeah.
The pain should eventually go away. But your doctor might probably also recommend certain things for long-term recovery, which could be exercise, which could be changing your diet plan. But those are things that you have to do on your own. That's not relying on that medication that's just getting you through the immediate rough patch. So the first, to me, medicine for this type of issue is, what's our favorite thing that we tell everybody to do? Communicate.
Communication.
You should be talking to your fiance saying, hey, babe, I've noticed that our sex has just gotten really predictable. And you have to let that go on, if I'm being honest. You have to see if it's a moment.
Yeah.
Or if it is going well beyond a moment.
And then there's so many different factors. It could be... It may not always be the person. It could be you. Like they're still, doing and performing how they was when you were loving it, but something has changed in you that makes you feel that way and feels like you need to spice it up. But also I want to go again to like outside factors. Sometimes people, it's not always about the sex. It's like, I just feel like my life is boring and I just go and work the same job and I do this. And then when we have sex, it's just like, oh, the same old thing. Like I can't get a new job. Can't afford to get a new car. I can't so I want to find somewhere in my life to spice it up and like have some fun and like do something new. And it's like, well, sexual exploration, let's try that. Sometimes it is purely sexual and wanting to explore, but sometimes there's other factors that people have. Even some people, when they have issues with their sex life or issues with intimacy, it comes from things outside of that that contribute to that. It's not always just, oh, you're not good or you aren't giving the appropriate amount of energy or stuff like that. A lot of times not giving enough energy or acting like you not care or going through the motions is more a result of situations that's happening outside of the bedroom.
Yes.
Like, when you've had a great day with your person, they've been loving on you, like how you go in the bedroom and try to perform for them when you feeling good about the situation.
What?
Is completely different than if it's like
long day, we've been beefing, we've been fighting. Oh God, it's just
a different mindset, and that will change the performance and how you feel about that performance. Yeah. So I think it's sometimes sexual, but a lot of times, or sometimes too, you have to look just at your relationship as a whole and just see like what's been happening. Like maybe it's not just the performance, maybe, like I said, it's the effort has just left. Like you're feeling like it's more like a chore versus a desire.
That's it, man. I love, conversations around intimacy in general. And I like to use that broad word because sex falls under that category, but it starts with other forms of intimacy. Like you said, sex is very different when the intimacy at least in my personal experience, the best sex I have had is when the intimacy on other levels was firing at 100. It's usually not when I'm stressed out at work. You know, I have a parent that's potentially sick. If I had a kid, or, well, let's just use my dogs. I've had situations where my dogs were sick, or, you know, they just got on my nerves that day. They ate a shoe, ripped up something. And I haven't been on a date with my man in 2 weeks because maybe he's been traveling for work, or just life's been life and it's been kicking our butts. The sex during that phase or those couple of days, if we even have it, is nothing, does not even come close to or hold a flame to the sex where we like went out that day. We started the morning cooking together. You put together a playlist the day before and sent it to me. I'm feeling all the feelings. You might have sent me some little sexy stuff for you. Like, we just having all types of vibes before we even touch each other. So when we do touch each other, it's like you could literally blow on me right now and I'm gonna be like, you know, like it is a lot of factors. And I think especially for women, like, I do think men are more visual than women. Women are more emotional when it comes to good sex. So it's like, if I'm all over the place, or if my sex output or my performance is not that great, 9 times out of 10, something's going on with me emotionally. It could be you. It could be me. It could be I gained some weight. It could be I lost some weight. It could be age and gravity is getting the best of me right now. Like, it could be so many things, but to just not even ask the questions or say, hey, babe, like, this is what's happening, or I've noticed that you seem disconnected or pulled away, or I noticed that you kind of almost, you've been in situations where like the person just wants the sex to be over and you could tell, like, while you're having sex with them, that they are just counting down the minutes. Like, just please wrap this up. I want a partner that's going to be honest with me when they notice that, because sometimes you're doing stuff and you don't even realize you're doing it.
You might get dang, you still going?
Yeah, it's like, okay, I mean, can you finish? Like, can you be done? You know what I mean? Like, those are not pleasurable experiences. So you should open the lines of communication no matter what the deficiency is in the relationship. If you notice it, it is an opportunity to talk through it. Because let me tell you, you know me, I've said this before. If this is your first time watching, welcome. But Rhonda is a sapiosexual. That means that I am extremely turned on and aroused by mental stimulation. If you come to me and just in the best, nicest, sweetest, most loving way, we just at home kicking it, and you just like, babe, you know, I know if you're paying attention to me because you're my man, should be easy for you. I know you've been stressed at work. I know you got a lot going on with the podcast. I know y'all working on this and that, and you trying to do this. I know you're trying to, you know, you've been in the gym. You're trying to lose the weight. You know, I know you've been hard on yourself, and I honestly just want to know what I can do to take some things off your plate, or what I can do to help you, because I've noticed that our sex is taking a hit. And I'm here for you. I'm not going anywhere, right? I love you, and I'm not coming at you to attack you, but I want to know if it's something that I could do to like make it better. I want to know if it's something we just need to talk about. Is it something that, you know, is on your mind? Maybe you don't feel comfortable sharing it with me. I'm telling you that here's an opportunity to share. Let me tell you how she is going to be down there like, give it to him, give it to him, give it to him. I'm going to be so turned on just at the thought of you paying that much attention to me and being like honest with me about what you notice. 9 times out of 10, you get in the box that day. You getting it that night, okay? Like, take it, boo. Take it, baby. You. I'm sorry. You got it, baby.
You brought up a great point. And that in that communicating and talking about that is, if you want somebody to do something for you without resentment, the best way to go about it is by being the best person you possibly can to them, versus trying to coerce them or force them into doing it. Like, you'll have a better chance of maybe getting a threesome out of your future wife.
Let's talk about it.
If you are just amazing to her. And she's trying to think now, my man has been so great and amazing. And now she's racking her brain of how I can return the favor and do something for him. Although I don't want to really do this.
He's so good to me.
He's so good to me.
Oh, he's so good to me. He handled me so well.
I'm going to do something that I know he would enjoy. Versus you forcing, you don't do this for me. You did this for other people. That's going to make her not want to do it.
You definitely not getting a threesome.
No.
Nope.
Because I don't feel forced. Now I'm doing it only because of you. And then if I do it, now I resent you for that.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that. And that's also determining, you have to determine what is a need and what's really a want. My wife and I love to go to Chima's. We go like at least twice a month, maybe 3 times a month. I don't need that to be a part of our relationship for me to be happy with my wife, or for me to be happy with the meals that I'm eating on a consistent basis. Something that I want is something that we enjoy. It's part of our routine now of what we do, but it's not a need. And you have to determine sexually sometimes all those things are fantasies and they make things you want to do sexually. Do you need that sexually?
Yeah.
And if you're saying I need threesomes to feel sexually satisfied, then that's a whole different conversation with your relationship, because now you're saying I need a third person in here in order to feel satisfied in this relationship.
Yes.
But if you're saying I want a threesome and if your wife isn't open to it, then you should be able to still move on without getting the threesome.
That's right.
And like I said, if you are good to her and you treat her like a queen and you do the things she loves you, she's going to, I'm not guarantee you that she's going to do it, but that she would be more inclined to do it in that circumstance versus the other. It's like I always tell people, it's like, it's always the reverse. Like I know people who want to get with somebody, but they don't know, like they feel like the person's playing games. I'm like, if you really want to commit a relationship with that person, you will have a better chance if you just walked away and completely cut it off versus still entertaining this situationship.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel right. It feels like you should be going harder at trying to do it.
Yes.
But no, do the opposite. And then if it does happen, it will happen that way.
That's right.
And that's the same with this. Like, treat her.
That's it. I agree. And like we said, just so you know, Alan, this is no guarantee, right? If she said no and it's a hard no, I would not suggest that you keep pushing on it. But in general, again, even if we take this out of the sexual conversation, that's the theme of the podcast today.
Yeah.
But take this out of the sexual realm just for a moment. I am willing to be practically anything that you want me to be, do anything that you want me to do if I feel safe and loved and cared for and seen and appreciated. It could be 12 o'clock at night. I could have worked today, ran around and did some errands, but you have just been so amazing to me and I to you. And if you say, babe, can you just run in the kitchen real quick? I know you just came from out there. Can you just run in the kitchen real quick and like grab me them chips out the cabinet? The last thing I may want to do right now is go back where I just came from or get up out this bed and go get that for you. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. It could be Saturday night. We've been outside having fun all night. Like, you know what I really want? I really would love, like, if you could just make them cookies that I love. Guess who gonna go in the cabinet and get the flour and the baking powder and them chocolate chips? Boy, you gonna get them cookies. You gonna get all the cookies. You gonna get these cookies and some other cookies. It just happy, healthy, good feeling relationships tend to, create this dynamic of I want to make you happy and you want to make me happy. And please, to the deep extra thinkers, yes, I recognize that your happiness should not be fully anchored on your partner making you feel that way. But in general, people around us inspire us. They do things with us, to us, and for us that inspire us to give back to them. So that's what I'm talking about. I have never had a real issue with giving someone something that I was already comfortable giving them, who is making me feel like they deserve it. And they would be appreciative if I did it. And again, that's sex or otherwise.
Yeah.
You can get it, boo.
I want to give people that advice. Some people may be having some issues in their relationship or having some troubles with their partner or getting irritated by certain things. Instead of doing the approach of bringing it up or like beating them over the head with it, try just say for a week, we're going to do a 7-day challenge.
I love
Just
this.
be the best person that you possibly can, most romantic, most generous, most understanding, thoughtful person that you can for your partner just for 7 days straight. No complaints, not beating them over the head, and see how they in return act to you.
Yeah.
When they get home, rubber feet. How was your day? Is there anything I can get for you? Not being a servant, but just being attentive, genuine, like truly thoughtful in your experience. Send her an edible arrangement. You know, get some flowers. I know you love these. Get her favorite dinner. Make dinner for a surprise. Do these things, and it can go the opposite way for a woman with a man, and just see how they then act to you, because you may be surprised that all the things that you were trying to beat them over the head about, that when they see you acting like this, they like, yo, this is a good like, I need to get my stuff together. I need to do this.
Savannah.
You might come home and the whole house is clean, because he's like, yo, she been holding me down. She told me I keep leaving this stuff. I clean the house. And then you may look, it may be still a little dirt, but you like, man, he cleaned it. Like, that's how you'll get the behavior that you want. That's more a conducive environment to get that, especially if somebody is reluctant to do certain things.
Yeah. That's
a more conducive environment.
7-day challenge. I want to emphasize that. We doing it.
We doing it.
Well, y'all doing it.
Yeah.
I don't have nobody to do it with. But I'm excited for y'all doing it.
Maybe do it the Ink and Miracle and see how
they don't. It's not the same. We don't speak the same language. They don't even speak English. Okay, they don't talk. So I can't do it with the dogs. Dre, stop it right now.
I was trying to get you somebody.
No. No.
I have something else that I want to bring up too.
But please keep us posted. If you decide to do this, that's all I want to say before you go on. Please tell us. DM us. DM Relationship Restored, wherever. If you do the 7-day challenge, please.
I'm gonna make that my clip. I'm gonna post it on social media and like just do that.
Please.
Just see it.
I'm so excited about this.
Right. I'm just, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I always speak from where I am a lot of times. And I am in a committed, loving relationship to where although things aren't perfect, each person wants the best for each other and wants to do the best for that person.
Yeah.
If you're in a situation with somebody who ain't ish and don't really care about you, they might just take advantage of you during that time and not reciprocate it.
Skip this challenge. We'll come up with one for you. Yes.
How to leave a man in 7 days.
Okay.
But or woman.
The 7-day exit strategy, okay? You sign up for that one when we do that one.
This ain't the course for you. You
No.
You got to take the prerequisite courses before you get to this course. It's for juniors and seniors. You still a freshman.
This is the graduate level of challenges. We started from the top, so we're gonna bring some beginners courses around real soon. It's not your one, okay? All right.
Oh Lord Jesus. But I have a suggestion for some people.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna get it.
It's something I want to talk about for the people in Miss Allen's situation.
Yeah.
Not for Allen, but Miss Allen's situation. A lot of times, I like what they say with presidents. They say, if it reaches my desk, it's a bad or worse decision. Like, somebody gonna be upset. So I got to make a decision either way. If it gets here, that's just what it is. And I feel like in relationships, sometimes you reach that point to where it's like somebody gonna be upset with one of the decisions. And I think that a rule of thumb, remember I'm talking about if there seems to be at odds, no way out, a rule of thumb, and you can tell me what you think and if you agree, is that you should choose guilt over resentment. And what that means is guilt is that I feel bad because I didn't move forward with that. And I feel bad for how they may feel or how they may perceive that. But I know I didn't feel comfortable with that. But I still feel kind of guilty because I know I'm his wife or his fiance. And he said he needs that. And I should be the one to give him that from a sexual standpoint. I feel guilty, but I just can't in myself do that.
Yeah.
Versus resentment is I did it. And now I'm mad. I'm angry. I hate that I did it. And every time I look at it, it reminds me that I did something I didn't want to do. So every little thing he does that doesn't agree with what I want or makes me upset, then it takes me back to that point.
Yeah.
And I feel like and it's a revolving thing, and we know how resentment can build and what the outcome of that will be. And I would say not just in relation, any situation where you're really faced with something hard is like, do I choose guilt or resentment?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times guilt is a lot better for yourself and a situation. Honestly, some people can respect if you're standing on something.
Yes.
versus resentment. And another version of this outside of relationships, because this is a lesson that I want everybody to think about and to learn, because it's not just relationships. It's like, say you're in a situation to where you have your parents and your parents have made some bad financial decisions. And now your parents out of work and they want you to give money or some type of money to help them live their life and do all these things. But now you're married and you're with somebody else and your person is looking at you like, we can't afford to do this, or it will put us in a worse situation. So you are faced with the decision, do I help my parents knowing that they're in a certain situation, or do I not help them and they kind of be out on their own? Do I feel guilty, or do I resent my parents for them being in the situation, them putting strain on my relationship, them doing all these things? Or do I say, I really want to help them and I feel guilty because I know they raised me, but I'm just not in the position to do it? I feel like people will respect that more, and you will feel better about yourself more sometimes from a guilty standpoint. But when that resentment set in, it's an issue. And I'll end with this, is that a lot of times when people feel guilty, the result of that is them doing nice things for you to try to make up for how they feel guilty.
Yeah.
On the reverse, when somebody resents you, the things that they do to you are not nice things.
Not at all.
Things,
one of the biggest not nice things is not letting you forget it.
Not letting you forget it.
Yeah.
Showing parts of anger, being petty, snippy at small things. So that's just when you're faced with two bad situations, what I would say. What do you think about that?
I agree with you so much. I think on the guilt versus resentment, the whole time you were talking, I just was obviously listening, but also thinking about situations where I have chosen guilt. And oftentimes guilt did in fact yield alternative things, right? Like even if I take it outside of a romantic dynamic, like if I had to miss my friend's event, right? Maybe it's they started their business, or I missed an event because I was out of town.
Yeah.
I feel guilty for missing that, right? Like I feel bad that I couldn't be there. But as an alternative, I sent flowers. As an alternative, I met with them once I got back in town. I took them out and did something else. As an alternative, no, I can't give you a threesome, but maybe we can consider something else, a different sexual exploration that could be just as satisfying to you, especially if it's something you've never done before.
For sure.
And some people might see it as like what they call consolation prizes, but it's a prize nonetheless. You know, if you went in a competition and the number one prize was $5,000, but anyone who participated still walked away with $100. You still got something. No one's gonna say, "Well, I don't want the $100." You would have preferred the $5,000, of course, but you still got something. I would never, and I've said this on a previous episode, when it comes to doing things sexually that you do not want to do, you are going to have that resentment, really on anything, but specifically on sex. You are going to have a resentment that will eat away at you for just because your body is such a protected space. It is a place that can very easily feel violated if it's mishandled. It's not as simple as someone stubbing your toe. Participating in a sexual act that you did not want to participate in will leave you with so much feeling of like disgust and like, why would I do that to myself? Why would I let, no matter who the person is, your boyfriend, your husband, your girlfriend, whatever, why would I be willing to sacrifice my temple for a moment of someone else's pleasure when I know that I did not feel pleasurable during that whole experience? And I knew it going into it. I would rather us talk through why you want to do it. Is there something else that we could potentially explore? And I also will want you to understand, if you're my man, you're my fiance, that means you're going to be my husband, that this is not just me denying you of something that you desire. It is going to make me uncomfortable to give it to you. It is going to potentially bring up trust issues that we don't have right now. It is going to potentially make me feel less than, something that I don't feel right now. I feel like I'm more than enough for you. So these are things that could become a cancer in our relationship. In your mind, it's just fun for the night. It's just a fun sexual experience. But in my mind, knowing what I know about how much I love you and I respect you and I honor you and I want this relationship, this could be the beginning of a deterioration that I don't want us to go down the road of. And I've experienced that in a relationship. It wasn't over a threesome, and I've talked about it on the podcast before. It was over an open relationship. Introducing that to that particular relationship was the beginning of the end. It crumbled our relationship. A relationship that could have potentially survived if we had not done that, we'll never know. But I know for a fact, him and I know for a fact that it was the beginning of the end. Once we said, okay, yeah, we're going to try to, it wasn't.
And that was a great point. And I feel like that kind of brings it full circle to what I talked about in the beginning about the housing. And as far as a mortgage is the minimum, everything comes at a cost. And when you evaluate the cost, you can't just think of the initial cost. You got to think of what ultimately can come from all the hidden costs, all the ripple effect of it. And that's essentially what you're saying, is that you could do an action now, but think about all the stuff that will come from it down the line, what I would feel, how I would act on a daily basis if I resent you. And, you know, even opening up this thing as a possibility, now my mind knows that this is a thing. So I may not be in the same mindset that I was prior to that. And that may make me somewhat of a different person and make me think different about this relationship and even my commitment to this relationship. So everything comes at a cost.
It does. It absolutely does. And I would think if you explain all of that to your partner, again, through effective and honest and vulnerable communication, I think that if they really want to go the long distance with you and they want a happy and healthy relationship with you, they would not want you to do something that's going to make you uncomfortable.
No.
They would not. Even if it would make them feel good, they wouldn't want you to have to then live with that for 10, 15, 20 years or lose who you are today. They would much rather say, you know what, you right, babe. Like let's just think about something else. Let's just potentially try something else if we are in this sexual exploration phase in our relationship, which I think is normal. I think people who've been together for a long time, especially millennials and potentially generations younger than that, we are just much more sexually liberated in general. Just the fact that we sit up here talking about sex says a lot about where we are in the world today.
Back in the day, that wasn't a thing.
It just wasn't. So I think having sexual exploration and being open to it, especially when you've been together for a long time, is very normal and it's very okay. But it has to be mutually agreed upon. Whatever the things you decide to do, you both have to have a genuine want and desire to do those particular things.
I agree. So let's answer Alan's 2 questions. Here we go. Should he let the idea go or try to persuade her to change her mind?
I don't think you should let the idea go
of sexual
exploration.
Okay.
But you have introduced what you wanted and an alternative to what you wanted. So a threesome, an active threesome, and then voyeurism, you watching her have sex with somebody else, which is another form of a threesome. I think it's safe to say that she's very clear on that's not something that she wants to do. So I think you should let that particular idea go. But I think sexual exploration is something you shouldn't let go, but you need to walk that back and go back to why your sex is not the way you would like for it to be today. You need to start there before we even get into the sexual exploration. You jumped ahead, and I think you just need to go back.
Yeah. I agree with you. Basically, with what you're saying is, I think that let the threesome go.
Yeah.
Let it go. Because you in your own words said, to be honest, I would have never asked about a threesome if she hadn't told me she had done it at least twice before.
Yep.
That's the only reason you're asking.
It's not even something that you are sure you want.
And he says, lastly, I have an issue with the fact that she had no problem fulfilling the threesome fantasy of a sex buddy or a couple you met on Facebook, but the person who is going to marry you give nothing.
Yeah.
There's a few things. Number one, be careful when you are asking somebody to revisit something of their past and acting as if like they should be that person now, because you don't know fully who that person was.
Correct.
You want the threesomes of the past, but you don't know who she was in that past. Do you want all of that?
Okay.
Like, I remember Bree one time, she was like, oh, I wish I could have dated you when you were in college. I would have loved to come to your games and wear the jerseys. You don't want that.
Girl,
college.
we wouldn't have made it to marriage. You would not be my wife today.
I know that action seems fun and cool to come to the games, but you would have had to get all of who I was at that point. Mm-hmm. You don't want all of that.
You don't want that.
You want the person that you have now.
Yes.
So we
can go watch somebody else play football.
Exactly. You just have to understand, if you're asking somebody to revisit that, be careful. Mm-hmm. It's like they always say, it's like, don't envy what somebody has because you don't know what it took for them to get there. Mm-hmm. Be careful when you're asking for somebody to revisit that, because that person, that's a completely different person. And I want you to change your mindset, Alan. You said that, I'm going to read it one more time. Last, I have an issue with the fact that she had no problem fulfilling the threesome fantasy of a sex buddy or a couple you met on Facebook, but the person who is going to marry you gets nothing. You are marrying her. You are not getting nothing.
Yeah.
She's the sex buddy doesn't have her. He had a sexual act, which honestly is a piece of you to a certain extent, but you're getting the whole package. Mm-hmm. You're getting her as a person, everything that she has to offer, her commitment to you, and you're getting the sex with her.
Yes.
Stop focusing on what you're not getting. Mm-hmm. You are getting everything.
You are. You said in your very first words were, I'm engaged to a wonderful woman.
Stop focusing on what you're not getting.
Yeah, sounds like you getting a wonderful woman.
And it sounds like you're trying to find something to mess it up.
Yeah.
You said you don't even want a threesome. The only reason you're doing it is some type of envy or behavior, something that you're envious of with the past person that she was with, that you feel like they got a piece of her that you didn't get. Mm-hmm. You gotta let that go.
You do.
I have that in my situation. Bree pretty much has a tattoo somehow that represents all the people that she had seriously dated in the past. One was a guy who got murdered in a barbershop. She has his birthday on her. Another one was a matching thing with a previous dude. I didn't go to Bree and be like, well, we need to get a matching tattoo because you got all these other things representing other. No.
That's your wife.
That's my wife. I won.
That's it. I got her.
They got all tattoos. I got her.
That's right. Pound on that, my guy.
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't focus on, you focusing on the wrong things. Mm-hmm. Who cares what the sex buddy got? He ain't got her. And you know she a wonderful woman. He missed out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. He that's their loss. Or that's just all they wanted based on how these sound like casual encounters. F buddies, a couple you met on, that's casual. You don't have a casual situation with her. And I'm not trying to minimize, I don't think we're trying to minimize you wanting new things or additional things. But once you start bringing in the past, other people, like you said, comparison is the thief of joy. And you do not want to make this a mountain in your relationship, because it's just not. It's not. The mountain right now is that you would like for your sex life to return to how it was. That's really the mountain. The mountain is not the fact that she told you she's not going to give you the threesome. The mountain is our sex life is a little, it's not as great right now. That's the mountain. And it is not even fully a mountain. But that's the actual issue. The issue is not the I'm not getting a threesome. I gave you a fantasy and now you're not giving me one. You explored one. You asked her about one thing. And I would venture to say, I don't know Miss Allen, but if she's open to BDSM,
she doing some things.
She open to some other stuff, my brother. You just got to maybe continue down that list. Again, once you get your act together on letting go of the jealousy, the envy, and all the things that Dre just talked about.
Yeah, and I'll end with that. Like we said in the beginning, comparison is the thief of all joy. Mm-hmm. I don't even know, honestly. I know that you said it, but I don't know if your sex life is becoming mundane or boring or predictable. I don't know. Because like I said earlier, when you compare to 3%, 6% seems like a lot. Mm-hmm. Now that you're opening your mind up to that she had a threesome, maybe what you're doing now doesn't seem like it's enough. Mm-hmm. Or now that you know that you did BDSM and she was open to that, now you feel like what you're doing now is not enough. You never thought that, or the act hasn't changed. It's just what you mentally have now opened yourself up to. Mm-hmm. You feel like now it's not enough. But if you didn't have those other things to compare it to, what you're doing right now will probably be fine.
Perfectly fine.
So like Rhonda said, our bottom line answer and always is to talk about it, because my brother, you aren't even married yet. You're engaged.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing life with this woman, like you guys got to figure this out. And starting at threesome before marriage is not I don't think is the most ideal place to be in from an exploration standpoint, or even an ultimatum standpoint, or that pressure that you're trying to put on her. So y'all talk it out. Come to a decision of what you really feel like you need versus what you want from a sexual thing, because that's a difference. Like we talk about what you need sexually versus like what would be cool or what you would like or what would be ideal, what would be fun. It's completely different. And don't mix those things up as making something a necessity that's not a necessity.
Yeah. So that's so good. That's so good. Well, Alan, thank you for writing in. We really, really appreciate it. We hope we were able to help. And as always, we would love an update. And if you would like to write in, you know where to find us, relationshiprestored.com. Click the contact button. Give us the details. Always remember, brief but detailed, age, just certain things that we really need you to give us. Yeah, we need contacts for the advice. And of course, please follow us on social media. I'm at Ronnie Cakes.
It's Dre Smith.
And at Relationship Restored. And don't forget, review, like, share, review.
Yes.
Review. We need that. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.